So the next step, which is also very important, is getting your domain. So let's have a look at the documents that we have here. There are some general tips that I want you to pay attention. First of all, you should know that your DBA and your domain can be the same or close to each other. So since you thought about your DBA before, now your work on selecting the domain would be a little bit easier. Now, there are, as I said, there are some tips that I want you to pay attention. First of all, use reward or your profession inside your domain. For example, the bad version of it is social media marketing group, which we talked about it before. And the good one is, for example, dental digital marketing, right? For example, dentaldigitalmarketing.com. This way people will understand what you are doing, what is your niche, what topic is your company focused on, and so on. The next tip that I want you to pay attention is that the domain that you want to select should be simple and understandable. What do I mean by that? Some people go after some difficult names that not everyone will understand them, or some complicated names. Why make it hard? Just select the most simplest words that you can use. For example, a way that you can test it, if you say this name to a 10 years old or a 90 years old person, both of them will understand what are you talking about. Okay, so don't try to use some complicated names inside your domain. So the next one is having one dictation. Now, some words have several dictations. For example, dear and dear, right? You can write it down with double E or EA, right? So this way, whenever you want to give your domain to someone, they will ask you, all right, I have to write it with, for example, double E or with EA. So this way, it will be much easier to remember for others. The next thing that I want you to pay attention is that ending and the beginning of each word inside your domain. For example, here we have marketing and group. So if you use these two words inside your domain, when people want to write it, they have to write marketing group after each other, and then there will be 2G. So it will be it will make it a little bit complicated. So it is better to avoid these kind of words. For example, digital and, for example, legend. Both of them, this one ends with L and this one starts with L, so people have to write double L here, so it make it a little bit complicated. Another thing that is important, when you selected your domain, you have to buy the .com, and beside that buy .org and .net. The reason is because there are a lot of reasons. The main one is, first of all, you don't want others to have it, and also later, if you want to do other things connected to your business, connected to your agency, for example, you want to start a charity connected to your agency, you can use .org or .net as you see here. There is another useful tip that I wrote here at the last paragraph on this document, and that is when you want to purchase your domain on any website, they usually offer you privacy, which is not much. It's cheap, but I suggest you to have it, to get it. Well, first of all, having it is much better, and this way people cannot find out who owns this domain, what are the contact information. For example, several weeks ago, my brother bought a domain, and he told me after I bought it, I received a lot of calls for several hours, and people called me and they said, all right, we want to design, for example, design a website for you. And the thing is that my brother is not a famous person, he's just a normal guy. So he just bought a domain and he received a lot of calls. So finally he told me that I turned off my phone for a day to avoid all of these calls. In general, getting the privacy is much better. I suggest it. I do it myself all the time, right? So this was some general tips about getting your domain. If you forget each of them, you can come back here and have access to all these information. So that was all about this lecture. If you are ready for the next one, which is the takeaway of this section, then let's go for it.